Take warning, you better take warning. Take warning, you better do good. Let your light shine bright, let your light shine right. Respect your fellow man as you should. Take warning, you better take warning. Take warning, you better do good. Let your light shine bright, let your light shine right. Respect your fellow man as you should. The evil that men do lives after them. The evil that men do lives after them. Your evil today will blight your tomorrow. So do good today and avoid your sorrow. Take warning, you better take warning. Take warning, you better do good. Let your light shine bright, let your light shine right. Respect your fellow man as you should. Take warning, you better take warning. Take warning, you better do good. Let your light shine bright, let your light shine right. Respect your fellow man as you should. The evil that men do lives after them. The evil that men do lives after them. Your evil today will blight your tomorrow. So do good today and avoid your sorrow.
Take the message, everybody.
Take warning, you better take warning. Take warning, you better take warning. Take warning, you better do good. Let your light shine bright, let your light shine right. Respect your fellow man as you should. Take warning, you better take warning. Take warning, you better do good. Let your light shine bright, let your light shine right. Respect your fellow man as you should.
I can't take it no more. Can't take it no more. Imagine 18 hours of blackout and you're telling people progress. Cost of living gone up 100%. Yet you give public servant less. Mr. President, listen to the people. Search your soul and you will confess. I want you try surviving on the public base. Then you're gonna know but stress. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup. Look how evil set up. The people fed up. They don't drive no fear with the citizen. They may want the people speak out. Freedom of speech done gone inside the gutter. Knock off when you open your mouth. Discrimination in entertainment. And you're talking about one Guyana. When the Ministry of Culture keep the big shows. One set of girls and banner. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup. Look how evil set up. The people fed up. Every picture you take and promise you make, everything you do is about clouds. it comes to them, they send you. Try investigate efficiency, right? Go talk to Barretons too, cause I done fed up. You done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup, look how evil set up. The people fed up. I done fed up by the dirty water, low pressure, want scream and tell somebody. Imagine 1,500 US, and they're telling me super salary. I done fed up by the unemployment racism and the...
Yeah, my name is Jasnity Kaldata Francis Vietnam, and since 1965 I become a voter, and I always place my X next to the cup, and what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data. I have none.
Basement level vibes with another one, straight up blackness. Aye, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benskop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom.
All right. Hey, guess what? Good night and welcome to Straight Up. My name is Mark Benshop. How are you doing? If our operator can get this lunatic, and I really do mean it, if the operator, Lemon, who is back on the job, if he doesn't get this lunatic off the screen in 30 seconds, then you will have to look for a new job. So again, we're saying, how many of you, you guys can talk to Lemon through your comment section there, right? To get this lunatic, this blight off the screen. We are warning Lemon. Come on, you guys can talk to Lemon in the group. Let him know to get this lunatic, this Looney Tune off the screen. Please, get this lunatic off the screen. Rajan, Bim, we are warning Lemon. We don't want to give him his birthday present, which is a termination letter. He's got to take this lunatic off the screen. Good night, everybody. Let Lemon leave the lunatic on for a moment. They get some of his supporters feel that he's playing nice politics. Oh, and Jack Day plays good politics. And Jack, no. What he does, he plays scampish politics. He's very dangerous, a conniving individual, an extremely corrupt individual. Probably, according to the man in the streets, mind you, that is what the man in the streets say, that is what their perception is about him, is that, and I quote, he is the biggest criminal in Guyana. But check this out. Before we check that out, we got lots of things we want to talk about, right? But let us welcome all of you, the usual thing. Welcome all of you to Straight Up. And it's Friday night. And you usually say, thank God it's Friday. Those of you who are lucky to receive a paycheck in Guyana or wherever you are. We know, as in the case of Guyana, the government officials and their families and their concubines are the ones that get billions upon billions of dollars. But most Guyanese walk home with a little small change at the end of the week. Some may say it's better than nothing, but don't let them program you like that a small change is better than nothing when they are getting millions upon millions upon millions. So they just want to brainwash you guys to accept the little small change. It is better than nothing. And remember, under the coalition or under the PNC, that is all they can talk about. The PPP, that is. They have no policy, they have no vision, they have no plan, they have absolutely nothing. But what they do, you got to give these guys a little bit of thumbs up in terms of corruption, in terms of drug dealings, in terms of money laundering, in terms of gold smuggling. Trust me, they're in bed with almost all of those criminals in Guyana who are disguised as businessmen, right? So they're smuggling their gold, the PPP is in bed with them. They're smuggling drugs, the PPP is in bed with them. They are smuggling all sorts of things, the PPP is in bed with them. They are money laundering, the PPP is in bed with them. And so the PPP, Jack Dale and Irfan and these folks, they have no moral authority to talk about that. None whatsoever. And the funny thing is, maybe it's not that funny, that the people who are caught up in the justice system, the ones who go to jail, are the ones with a little small bag of something, a little smaller bag of something, a little Ziploc bag of something. Like what happened with that young woman today. She got caught. I'm not sure whether she was read her rights. I'm not sure whether she understood what she did, but she went straight up into the courtroom. And guess what? As we would say from the Camp Street prison days, right? Chuck in your towel. Chuck in your towel. That's what they usually say. Chuck your towel. You throw in your towel. So that mother of one, out of desperation, we don't know. Obviously, it couldn't be her stuff, her marijuana. I could put my head on the block that it couldn't be hers. But she took the rap. She took a risk of transporting that stuff, marijuana, right? 14 pounds. And she put it in the trunk of her car because she pleaded guilty. She said she's guilty. But how it happens in Guyana, I am almost certain that she didn't do that. I'm not even, I'm not going to put my head on the block per se, but at the end of the day, I say this because it could have been somebody close to her. But the poor lady got to take the rap, and she's going down for 3 years. I mean, honestly, I feel it for her. I'm not saying it's the right thing. I'm not saying that at all. But the reason why I feel it for her, because she's going to jail for 3 years. She's not lucky like the drug lords in Guyana. She's not lucky like them because the drug lords, 99% of the drug lords in Guyana, those who are sending out hundreds of pounds of kilos of pounds of cocaine and thousands of kilos of cocaine out of Guyana, they are in bed with the PPP regime. And so they don't go to jail. They're not stopped at a roadblock. And even if they are stopped at a roadblock, a quick phone call, hey, don't touch the man. But that young lady, Muna or whatever her name is, she had nobody to call in the government. She had no senior police officer to call to stop that search today or to pretend as though they didn't see it. She had nobody to call. But what she did was basically she tried a thing. She pulled a 50 cents, get rich or try or die trying, something like that, right? And so she is going to jail. She had no proper representation, none whatsoever, to question where she got the stuff from. She said, no. She's guilty. She just pleaded guilty. That's it. She's guilty. That's according to her. I don't know. If the magistrate said to her, look, young lady, you need legal representation. Lawyers got to step out. Not only when it's convenient, when there's lights, cameras, and action, that all of them step out to make representation. They got to step out as often as possible. Now, it's good that all of them got a lot of lawyers, big name lawyers, well, some big name lawyers, got on the Melly Mel case, which is good. I'm glad. I'm happy that they are on that case. Don't get me wrong. But some people say it's a good way to start, better late than never. But we wanted to see the same energy. The people in Mocha, their properties bulldozed, their businesses wrecked by the corrupt PPP regime. In Linden, the same thing. So we gotta have consistency across the board in fighting and standing up and seeing our lawyers who do, I do suspect they believe in human rights. They've got to do it. They've got to be consistent. It shouldn't only be when there's lights, cameras, and action. No, it's got to be across the board. Now, good night. My name is Mark Benchap. Welcome to Straight Up. We have lots of things to talk about this evening. Lots of things. And one of them is that fake, what appears to be, mind you, a fake search warrant. It appears to be a fake search warrant. Now, I can tell you a couple of things about fake search warrants, right? From the Guyana Police Force. I can tell you a couple of things about that. But I'll be right back with more of Straight Up. People are fed up. All across the country, people are fed up.
I can't take it no more. I can't take it no more. Can't take it no more. Imagine 18 hours of blackout and you're telling people progress. Cost of living gone up 100%. Get your give public servant less. Mr. President, listen to the people. Search your soul and you will confess. I want you try surviving on the public base. Then you're gonna know but stress. Cause I done fed up. You done fed up. He done fed up. She done fed up. We done fed up. The people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup. Look how evil set up. The people fed up. They don't drive no fear with the citizen. They may want the people speak out. Freedom of speech done gone inside the gutter. Knock off when you open your mouth. Discrimination in entertainment. And you're talking about one Guyana. When the Ministry of Culture keep the big shows. One set of girls and banner. Cause I done fed up. You done fed up. He done fed up. She done fed up. We done fed up. The people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup. Look how evil set up. The people fed up. Every picture you take and promise you make, everything you do is about clouds. Then you come into me for I shake your hand, there's nothing to smile about. Corruption inside every sector, but when it comes to them they send you. Try investigate efficiency, right? Go talk to Barretons too, cause I done fed up. You done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup, look how evil set up. The people fed up. I done fed up on the dirty water, low pressure, want scream and tell somebody. Imagine 1500 US and they're telling me so.
Welcome back to Straight Up. It's 21 minutes after 9 o'clock on this Friday evening. My name is Mark Benchap. Lots and lots of things happening across the board. Lots and lots of corruption. Corruption of hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe over $200-300 millions of dollars at the Guyana Marketing Corporation. Corruption at Gaisuco. Hundreds of millions of dollars. Corruption in the agricultural sector. And if you've noticed, the Shadow Minister of Agriculture, Vince Roy Jordan, has been on their tail, the PPP's tail on that. And so that is what we need, an aggressive approach in exposing corruption in the PPP regime. We need all of these sort of things to expose these vagabonds in this rigged. Of course, they got into power through rigged elections. Okay. What else is happening? What else is happening that we can talk about? For those of you who've just joined us, good night and welcome to Straight Up. And let's say this here. Before we look at a positive note. I don't know how many of you guys remember this young lady, a brilliant young lady, probably more brilliant than all of them in the PPP cabinet put together, all of them, 10 times smarter than Bara Jagdeo, 100 times smarter than Irfan Ali and Anil Nandalal and the likes. She's an attorney. She attended Chicago Law School. So her name is Amber Stewart. Good night, Amber. She's selected as an Associate Advancement Academy for Excellence Fellow. She is of Guyanese heritage. She is Guyanese, and we've got to salute her. This is the young lawyer that Jack Dale attempted to ridicule. Jack Dale and that vagabond, who is now a so-called ambassador somewhere in EU, Leslie Ramsamy, all because she wrote an article about the change of regime in Guyana and how it was done. Attorney at law Amber Stewart did just that. And so Barrett Jack Dale ridiculed her. Just another of a long list of successful Black women. Jack Dale, they don't like successful Black women. They just don't do it. They can't stand that. And so they ridicule them. They do all manner of things to them. Well, Jack Dale has a problem, probably. Johnson & Johnson. But good night to all of you, and congratulations to Amber Stewart. Congratulations to you. One of these days, we'll try to get Amber on this program to just congratulate her and have you guys listen to her. She sounds way better than a Jack Dale and all of them in the cabinet. When she speaks, you can tell she's a lawyer. You know that she's a lawyer. Unlike some of them in the PPP, well, most of them in the PPP, and not just in the PPP. I guess some of them in general, you want to know how the heck they became lawyers. But I'm not knocking all of them. Some of them are in the Guyana Barbecue Association. But anyways, that's another story. Congratulations to Amber. Nice person. Look, let's head back to Ambassador Singh. Just imagine Seth Narayan Singh is ambassador and he presents his credentials to King Philip of Belgium. Seth Narayan Singh, after he destroyed Gaisuko, hundreds of millions of dollars, they should be auditing that agency. They ought to be auditing that agency because he acted for all those years. This is a guy, Seth Narayan Singh, who jumped away from the AFC probably when Charan Das did, and he licked the toes of the PPP guys, and then they gave him a position because he claimed that he was fighting for democracy and he was part of the Guardians. What is it? The Guardians? Some Guardians guarding ballot boxes and so forth and so on. And so I am of the view that this guy knows something about how the elections were rigged by the PPP regime. And so they just basically wanted to give him something in order not to have him speak. You know, just like Max started to speak, but Max wasn't really in the nose, so to speak. But Max knew that the PPP, he knows that the PPP rigged the elections. And I'm wondering whether this guy, Seth Narayan Singh, knows as well. And mind you, I'm just saying I'm wondering. I'm not saying he knows. It could be, but I'm just wondering. And so this guy, they put him as the acting CEO of Gaisuko. And he went into Gaisuko saying that he's going there to turn it around, right? And so he pulled a Didi on Gaisuko. He turned around indeed. And so he turned around and he left everyone at Gaisuko slipping. All the sugar workers slipping, falling down, because there's nothing to do. And so they removed him as the acting CEO of Gaisuko. And they placed him as an ambassador. So he is now an ambassador in Europe. And Europe now, 3 Guyanese ambassadors are there. You have Ambassador Seth Narayan Singh. You have Ambassador Leslie Ramsamy. And you have Ambassador or High Commissioner, Guyana High Commissioner to the UK, Raj Singh. So you get Singh, Singh, and Ramsamy. Sing, Sing, and Ramsamy. Come on, repeat after me. Sing, Sing, and Ramsamy, ya ambassador. Sing, Sing, and Ramsamy, ambassador. Sing, Sing, and Ramsamy. But then again, they have Sam Heinz the Cursing man is ambassador too, right? What this thing turned to, man? What ambassadorship turned to now? Renee McKenzie, you took it out. Don't took the word out of my mouth. Ambassadorship gone to the dogs. Not because of Sing Sing and Ramsamy. Don't get me wrong. Because a Kunu Munu is ambassador, U.S. Guyana ambassador to the U.S. A Kunu Munu, named Sam Hines, right? Also known as Keroman. Oh gosh. I don't know. I might as well become an ambassador, right, Bonita, Elise, Parker, and Brennan Thompson and all. Come on, y'all sing after me, man. Let me make a nice chutney and done. Sing, sing, and Ramsamia ambassador. Sing, sing, and good night again to all of you. I don't know where you guys are listening to us, whether you're in Guyana, you're outside of Guyana, wherever you are. Welcome to Straight Up. Lots of things we want to talk about tonight. It probably will take about 12 hours. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be on with you folks for tonight, but let's see what else we can talk about. There are a few things that I want to talk about before we move on to some other things. This guy, Phillips, Mark Phillips. Oh, yeah, the guy who ran when Venezuela was threatening Guyana. He ran away. He claimed that he wanted to go to a course out in South Korea. This was under the coalition. And he ran away to South Korea for a quote-unquote source while he was chief of staff of the Guyana Defense Force. And then when he was on his way out as chief of staff of the Guyana Defense Force, he wanted to keep taxpayers' vehicle, a big SUV. And because he wasn't given the green light, he left the Guyana Defense Force as chief of staff with his bumps raised. He was vexed. These are the guys who want taxpayer stuff. These are the guys who want to live off of taxpayers in Guyana. So his bumps raised since then. And then there's millions of US dollars in paid for ammunition, guns and ammunition that they were never delivered when he was chief of staff of the army. And again, I say all of these things because these are the guys who are part and parcel of the government in Guyana. And now let's touch on the power. The power meaning GPL. You all know GPL. You all know what GPL is about, right? Let me don't talk too long because we might just get... You see, I told y'all, let's not block out, as they would say in Guyana. And hopefully they'll use this word sometime in the dictionary, the Oxford Dictionary, not just hard ears, but block out in detail. Block out in detail. Hopefully, right? So these Pakus, including Mark Phillips, who is from Joker Street in Linden, not Poker Street. I love Poker Street. I'm from right around Poker Street area, but this guy can't be from Linden. He can't be from Poker Street. He's got to be from Joker Street because he is the biggest joker, one of the biggest jokers they have in the government. He made Sam Hines look like nothing. But this is what this guy is saying now. Phillips leads urgent discussions on power reliability. And now ask yourselves this question. He has no experience in this at all, but he's leading urgent discussion on power and reliability and so forth. No experience, no nothing. He's just hogwash. Now, for 23 years, the PPP, plus this 4 years now, 27 years, my friends. 27 years these Pakus have been in office. And you're telling me they can't fix the electricity problem? They can't even fix a light bulb? For 27 years, they can't fix the problem at GPL? But the coalition was in office, some would say just for 3 years. The other 2 years, they had to fight, they had to battle some crosses in the AFC and other places too, not just the AFC. But they had to fight, they had to battle. But yet, under the coalition, they were able to fix, to some extent, the problems at GPL. And the main problem at GPL, my friends, is not just the blockout, because we saw, as the coalition demonstrated, that they were able to some extent solve the blackout problem. So under the coalition, you hardly had blackout. Hardly had blackout. Those of us who were there under the PPP, we know what is blackout. Every minute, blackout, 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 blackout. Under the coalition, that changed. Everything changed under the coalition. So the issue with Guyana Power and Light is management. The issue right now is widespread corruption upon bare criminals, it appears, running GPL right now. Corruption upon corruption. And so the more blackout they get and the more blackout they cause is the more money into their pockets. And the more contracts they give to their relatives, their friends, and cronies. And that is why GPL is the way it is right now. So if you have a blackout in the Region 3 for tonight, for 5 hours, tomorrow they got to find millions of dollars to give to their friends and cronies to go and figure out what the problem is. And so the problem is not GPL, it's who they have managing GPL. And the PPP regime is to be blamed for that. So they don't want to fix the problem. But yet, as I said earlier, it was almost fixed under the coalition government. Hardly had blockout. People were happy in the country. GPL was making a profit under the coalition. Under the PPP regime, hundreds upon hundreds of millions of your dollars going into GPL. Not to fix the problem, but to make the problem bigger, put the hundreds of millions of dollars in those cronies' pockets, their friends' pockets, their concubines' pockets, their sweet man pocket, their sweet woman pocket, and that is where the money is going. The money is going in all sorts of banks. Y'all know that song, right? All sorts of banks the money is going into. And that is the problem. That is the problem they got right now at GPL. So when, not Sam Hines, when they put a man like Joker, Mark Phillips, the Joker, because they have no respect for Mark Phillips. He is just that, a joker, just like the rest of them in the cabinet, a joker. And so they put this joker, Mark Phillips, to face the heat. And now this is what they get this joker saying. He leads discussions on power reliability. What can he do? And then the biggest corruption at GPL is also the metering department. The metering department is the biggest, hundreds of millions of dollars of corruption. And then you have senior government officials, their friends, their concubines, their sweet man, sweet woman, everybody thieving electricity. Under the PPP regime, they're thieving electricity, Mark Phillips. That is what they're doing. Thieves. So what sort of discussion this guy could, urgent discussion he can lead? Watch them by next week. They're going to say they need hundreds of millions of dollars more to put into the electricity sector. That is what they're doing. They're a bunch of bandits. They're crooks. They're vagabonds. Gosh, I can't wait for them to be voted out of office. Vote these vagabonds, these jokers like Mark Phillips out of office. And then they get some of the enablers, right? Some of the enablers, some of them probably calling him right now, Mr. Prime Minister, you see the one? The copper color one? The big mouth one? Yeah, the scrawly one, Ben Sharp? Yeah. Yes, he talking about you. He talking bad things about you. Hey, don't worry, Mark. Don't worry. He can't come back to Guyana. If he come back to Guyana, we're gonna fry you up like dog and cat. Yeah, that's how they talk. They are vagabonds. They shouldn't be leading any country. None whatsoever. Can't wait for elections, guys. And so, electricity. The other thing now I saw that some officials out from Linden went to where they went. They went to a meeting and they described it as high power meeting. What high power meeting can be with this guy? What high power meeting are you talking about, man? What high power meeting are you talking about? This man could lead any high power meeting. I'm sure at the meeting, y'all had pulori, puri, and sour. This is what they give y'all to eat. And y'all calling it, this is not disrespecting the guys who went to the meeting. I'm just saying in general that they have no respect for the people of Linden. So there's no high power meeting. It is basically to brainwash people and to divert attention. So these leaders and community activists and so forth had to jump in a minibus, or catch a drop or drive their vehicle, those who can get dropped or whatever, and head down to his office in Georgetown for a high power meeting. Waste of time, waste of gas, waste of energy, waste of talk. Why couldn't this Paku Mark Phillips take taxpayers' vehicle and head down to Watuka House if he so cares about Linden? Take a high-power team, head down to Watuka, meet with the elected officials and the community leaders and the activists on the ground in Linden. Walk around Linden to have a proper assessment as to what's happening on the ground. But no, they must jump out of Linden to go to Georgetown to meet this Paku and then call it a high-profile meeting. And tonight, the people in Linden are basically the same way. They're still punishing. Nobody in the government cares about them. Mark Phillips doesn't care about them. He has now got to go back and beg Irfan Ali and Jack Dale them. Man, let me get a little crumbs to Linden now. And watch them. Watch what they're going to do. Mark my word. I wouldn't be surprised if within the next 48 hours, you hear that a government team headed by Irfan Ali is going to Linden. And he's going to put on some long boots, long bukta, and all sorts of things. He and Irfan Ali, and they're going to walk around and they're going to say, this got to be done, and that got to be done. Hey, Shanghai, where you there? Hold my boots. And all manner of things to show off, to pomposette themselves because they get caught, they get skin up. I hope they put this new word in the dictionary too. They get skin up. They're embarrassed. They're ashamed. I don't know. I wasn't going to no meeting in Georgetown to meet this Paku for high power meeting. Give me a break. High power meeting. Good night to all of you guys. Good night to Michael Reed and all of you, Carl Miller and the entire crew, Diane Mitchell and Brenda Braithwaite and Eva, all of you, every single one of you. Janet Elias, yeah, my good friend from nursery school, but she got left back 4 times in nursery school. Good night to you, Janet. And so back to GPL. Inderjeet from Skeldon, how are you? And Inderjeet said, good night from Corriverton. Yeah, remember $200 million for a White Elephant Skeldon sugar factory? Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. So now back to GPL. And lots of corruption. And if you do an audit there at GPL, you will see that hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars missing, stolen, hundreds of millions. I'm told that it's almost 2 billion Guyana dollars missing, stolen, corruption at GPL. A few months ago, what? Yeah, sorry about that. A few months ago, what exactly they said, right? Everyone said, heads gonna roll, people gotta get, managers got to go at GPL. Ain't nobody gone. They're still there. We still, in fact, we getting more blackout than ever before. More blackout. So if Irfan Ali just said, heads gonna roll and management gonna change, almost 1 year now, and instead, we're getting more. They brought in some ship, more blackout. You can just imagine. Just the other day, Irfan Ali said that they are going to clamp down on the drugs and the drug trade, and they're going to go after the drug dealers. And guess what? Just like GPL and the blackout increase, the drugs is flowing out more. So it's all talk. How can they clamp down on corruption at GPL when the PPP, they are part of the corruption? When the PPP is part of the corruption and the problem at GPL. How can they clamp down How can they clamp down on drugs when the PPP, lots of officials in the PPP and ministers are part of the drug trade? When those who are heading agencies that are there to eradicate the drug trade and all these things. Anyways, let me keep my mouth shut. Put that in the Oxford Dictionary too. Let me keep my mouth shut. Right? Because y'all might just hear some things very soon. Y'all might just hear some things very soon. So big people might be placed in handcuffs. Who knows? Let's move on. Who knows? Big people might place. We already saw big folks, well, so-called big business people got sanctioned, their visa revoked, all manner of things. It's just a matter of time before extradition requests are made. But those who are outside of Guyana, the law enforcement agencies, know that if they were to make a request for extradition, the PPP gonna protect those vagabonds, because birds of a feather flock together. What else we can talk about, guys? What else do you want us to talk about? And GPL, right? And as I told you guys, the prepaid meter and the corruption and the $150,000+ under the table and all these different things. All these different things, millions upon millions of dollars. Millions upon millions of dollars. The metering section, guys, we've got to deal with that. But hey, guess what? Let's move on to some other things here. We can't move on with this. You all know that prior to 2015, Kwame got his U.S. visa revoked, right? His U.S. visa, how many of you know why his U.S. visa was revoked? How many of you guys know why his U.S. visa was revoked? Tell me, how many of you guys know that? Let me see. I'm looking at the comment section to see how many of you guys know why his visa was revoked. Kwame McCoy's visa was revoked because he was caught on tape. He denied it. We all know it's him. He was caught on tape crying with a baby Johnson face. A baby Johnson & Johnson face. He was crying over Julius. Hey, Julius, you know I love you. Hey, Julius, what do you mean? You never do that before? You never used Johnson & Johnson before? Why are you doing that to me, Julius? Why are you doing that to me? Yes, Didi. So the US revoked his visa. And so when they got installed back, right, he decided that he's going to go and have a diplomatic passport to show off that he can travel again, right, with a diplomatic passport. But I am almost certain that the US haven't forgotten about him. A convict. He is a convicted criminal. And isn't it Jagdev and all of them like to call people criminal? Oh, criminal? I wonder how comfortable can Jagdev be when he describes people as criminal. This body is a criminal. The criminal. And look, he has criminals right around him. Kwame is a criminal. He's a convicted criminal. On top of that, he got deported from a small island for allegations of Didi business. He went to a small island and allegedly got involved in Didiology. So he is known in that small island as a Didiologist. Some big words, some new words you guys are learning here tonight, right? He got kicked out from one of those small islands, allegedly for being involved in the ideology. So he seems to be an expert in that. And so because of that, he can be described as a ideologist. Oh gosh, Oxford Dictionary again. Don't make joke with Guyanese, you know. Ideology, ideologist, and so forth. And so Jack Dale and these guys can't talk about who is a criminal and who is not a criminal and so forth and so on. He's not going to tell you guys about Gadraj. He's not going to tell you guys that the US, the Canadians, and the British saw Gadraj, who's now dead. That the US saw him as a criminal. They saw Gadraj as a criminal. They saw his then acting commissioner of police, Floyd McDonald, who's right next to him there. They also saw Floyd McDonald as a criminal. Oh, yes. A lot of you don't remember those days, right? Do you? Do you guys remember those days? Ronald Gadraj involved in killing squads according to documents, US documents, and revealed in US courts and so forth, involved in death squads going around killing people. Oh, yes. And so Jack Dale should be the last person to call people criminal. The US revoked Ronald Gadraj's visa while Ronald Gadraj was a minister. Now, we have never heard of a minister under the coalition visa got revoked, you know. We have never heard that. But under the PPP regime, quite a few ministers and officials have gotten their visas revoked. Ronald Gadraj is one of them. He was one of them. The Americans revoked his visa. The Canadians revoked his visa. The British revoked his visa. And so when they appointed him as a Guyana High Commissioner to India, he had to reach India, backtrack, cut through boat, cut through savannas, cut through all over to reach to India. Because that is the dumping ground. That is where the PPP dump garbage and put them there as High Commissioner. Look at what they did to Charandas, garbage. So Barrett Jack Dale is the last person on the face of this earth to describe people as criminal. As criminal. Vice News they see Jack Dale as a criminal. There are law enforcement agencies outside of Guyana who view Jack Dale, they see Jack Dale as a criminal. So now let's touch on Jack Dale talking about the crime spree and so forth. Jack Dale knew exactly what happened during those times. They were part and parcel. The PPP was part and parcel of that. They instigated things. They got scores of persons got killed. Jack Dale knows about it, I'm almost certain. Ask Jack Dale about Lindo Creek. Ask whether he knows. Let him take a lie detector test, a polygraph test about Lindo Creek. And those miners, those hardworking miners who were said to have been killed, slaughtered by law enforcement officers. Some of them are in big positions today, right now, in Guyana. And so Jack Dale has no authority, no moral authority to talk about crime spree and all these things. Because if an independent investigation, forget about what he's saying, he wants an investigation. He doesn't want an investigation. Because a proper investigation, probably maybe done by FBI or Scotland Yard or the Mountie guys and so forth, it will point fingers at Jack Dale and many so-called businessmen and other officials in the PPP regime. He doesn't want, so he's pretending as though he wants an investigation. All those years, he never asked, almost 20 years, he want no investigation, he want nothing. He's running from it. Wasn't this the same chap who said that Roger Ludgen, the former head of the presidential secretariat, who coined that term in Guyana, phantom killers? They knew who those so-called phantom killers were. Many of them were serving members of the Guyana police force. Many of them were supported and financed by so-called businessmen in Guyana. And many of those killers were former policemen of the Guyana police force. Go and ask Sean Hines. He said it publicly. So this was not propaganda. They knew what they were about, to eliminate their opponents. They pretended as though they were going after small criminals, that they don't like criminals. Imagine criminals saying they don't like criminals. Imagine criminals in the Guyana police force, and at that time, the notorious Black Clothes Police, going around killing people, slaughtering people, committing extrajudicial killings, protecting drug lords, gold smugglers, money launderers. That is what the Black Clothes were known for back in those days. You think I'm kidding? Check out this book, The Thomas Carroll Affair. The author of that book, David, I'll get his last name shortly, a good friend of mine. And David, when he wrote that book, David Cassave, Cassave, in that book, it was revealed, and it was revealed not just in that book, it was revealed in court. And I probably still have a lot of those court documents. A U.S. court, it was revealed that Thomas Carroll, the corrupt U.S. official at the embassy way back then, was using notorious members of the Guyana police force to go and shake down people for their money because they were selling visas left, right, and center. That's what they were doing. And for folks who weren't paying up their monies, they were sending these Black Clothes Police guys to shake them down, threaten them. Probably some got killed too, who knows? And that is what was happening. It didn't happen under the coalition, guys. It all happened under the PPP regime. And whose presidency it happened under? Barra Jagdeo. The hundreds of people who were slaughtered under the PPP regime were slaughtered under Jagdeo's presidency. The Lindo Creek massacre and all these things, lots of other things happened under Jagdeo's presidency. And since he wants to talk about that, I would love for Jagdeo to take a polygraph test concerning the assassination of Ronald Waddle. On the night when Ronald Waddle was riddled with about 21 or 20 or so bullets in front of his house as he was leaving, right there opposite the seawall, riddled him with bullets. I am almost certain that Jagdeo, this is just my opinion, I'm saying I'm almost certain that he knew that they were planning to execute Ronald Waddle. I'm almost certain, because somebody said, again, allegations, that as soon as they riddled Ronald Waddle with bullets, some members of the Guyana police force were involved in that. Some ex-members of the Guyana police force were involved with that, said to have been paid by drug lords. And of course, Jagdeo knew about it. That is according to information, because as soon as Waddle was riddled with bullets, I'm told that Jagdeo saw that as a birthday present. Because when Waddle was killed, it was closer to Jagdeo's birthday or something like that. And so Jagdeo needs to take a polygraph test on these issues. He should take a polygraph test. He should take a polygraph test and to say whether he is aware that those Lindo Creek miners were executed by members of the Guyana Defense Force. Some are in very high positions today. and members of the Guyana police force. Some of those killers are set to be in very high positions in the Guyana police force today. So y'all don't let Jack Dale bluff y'all about crime spree and to make it look as a, don't let him bluff you guys. Don't ever let him bluff you. Well, you can't bluff me. I know he's bluffing. I know he's a pussycat. Why do you think he said that lunch and gone to his grave with lots of secrets? And he said, Jack Dale said, that he may go to his grave with a lot of secrets too. Just imagine that. So they know what transpired. They were part and parcel of that. And so they prefer to go to their grave. Luncheon gone to his grave with a lot of things, right? Luncheon gone to his grave with a lot of things. Gadraj gone to his grave with a lot of things. And some other notorious policemen gone to their graves with a lot of things too. Yeah, we know that. We know that. This notorious guy, Mark Kazurki, gone to his grave with a lot of things too. You see his guns and all these things. He was the manager of Aubrey Wine Bar. I'm not sure if you guys know where Aubrey Wine Bar is located. Right, a stone throw away from the prison, where it is said that people used to be tortured there. They tortured people, take them up, torture them, cut them up, all manner of things. And this guy was charged with murders, 2 murders. And he fainted at the magistrate's court. They took him to the hospital. And because they realized that he is the weakest of the 3 persons who were charged, Mark Kazurki, was charged. Sean Hines was charged with murder. And the then owner of A&D Funeral Parlor, Ashton King, was also charged. That's another story about Ashton and Sean Hines in prison. I'll tell you guys another story. But this guy couldn't make it. He cried, he this, he that, and people were worried that he was going to snitch out, that he was going to talk. And so, remember, at the public hospital, he died, right? Under mysterious circumstances. He died. The Minister of Health at that time, coincidentally, was the man who is now ambassador there in the EU, Leslie Ramsamy, right? So, you know, maybe a nice book should be written about those days, you know, and how folks had to stand up against a corrupt, a murderous PPP regime, a regime that has blood on its hands. Jack Dale has blood on his hands. Lots of mothers and tears falling on him right now. Lots and lots of that. But before this guy, you know, let me show you. Let me see if you guys recognize him next to Jack Dale. Let me see if you guys recognize him. Let me see if you guys recognize any one of them there. And this was at State House, you know. This was at State House, guys. State House. Let me see if any one of you in the audience recognize these people. Any one of you. This guy is there. He's there in that photo. Let me see if any one of you, and is he sitting there? He was part of the death squad, the killing squad for Ronald Gadraj and the PPP regime. Let me see if any one of you recognize him here. All you recognize him? All you recognize him? Okay, he's right there in the picture. He has on that he's standing next to the guy that looks like Biggie. Right there. All of them hugging each other. We are family. I got my killer next to me. Yeah, right there. Jack Dale saying they're all family. You got the killer next to you. And those are the things. Those are just a few things that happen. So Jack Dale's got to be extra careful. It is not that external forces and agencies don't know what Jack Dale did during those times. It's not like they're not court reports and documents to show what Jack Dale knew and what Jack Dale did during those times. So when he tries to bluff you guys about investigation and this, don't worry him. Don't worry him. He's not going to investigate himself and the PPP, some of them in the PPP regime. He's not going to do that. He's a pussycat. All right, so we got that out of the way. Let's remind you guys about this year. And last year, and this year is probably 18 years since Sash Saul was assassinated under the PPP regime, under Jack Dale's presidency, guys. And now I'm going to take my time and I'm going to break this down for you guys. I'm going to break this down for you guys. Bilal Muhammad, pay attention. Pay attention, Bilal Muhammad. Don't let your bums raise. Pay attention. And assalamu alaikum, pay attention. Now, 18 years ago, this guy, Sash Saul, was assassinated under the PPP regime. When Jack Dale was the president, this guy was slaughtered. 2 members of his family, siblings, and a security guard, slaughtered under Jack Dale's presidency. Do you guys know 18 years after, or years after, Jack Dale never once initiated an investigation against the family members, the wife and the children and the brother, the surviving brother or siblings of this guy, begging, calling out. They got frustrated. There was no investigation. Come on, guys. Bring your tables, bring your chairs a little closer. Let us talk. Let us talk. Right, Rhonda Lane? I'm going to ask you guys this question. Alicia Motilal and others. Good night to you. If Jack Dale was so concerned about justice and so concerned about bringing the killers to justice, bringing them to justice, bringing them to justice, why didn't Jack Dale do it? Why? The question also is, why was Jack Dale afraid to have an investigation into the death, the assassination of a member of his own cabinet, a minister of his own government? He never initiated an investigation. Things were covered up. He ignored every single thing. He ignored the cries of the surviving siblings of Sash Saul. He ignored the cry of the widow of Sash Saul. He ignored the cries of the sons of Sash Saul, the relatives of Sash Saul. And Jack Dale ensured that there was no investigations. 18 years now. He was in office. He was in power. He refused to have an investigation. And now the question that I'd like to ask you guys right now, please, the question. This is a $1 million question. Why? Why has Jack Dale refused to have an investigation conducted into the assassination? Forget about Waddle. We know that he wants to cover that up. We knew then what happened, and we still to this day. We know what happened to Courtney Crummy Wing as well, and others. We know Jack Dale. And we also know that Jack Dale and the PPP, they wouldn't want an investigation. They will do everything to cover it up, to make sure witnesses disappear and all that. We know that. But the question, though, my friends, why is it that Jack Dale refused, 18 years now, refused to have an investigation conducted into the assassination of a minister under his government? Jack Dale, under Jack Dale's presidency. Why? Why? Is it that Jack Dale has something to hide? He can't tell us now that 18 years after, he wants to do a big investigation into all of the killings and all of the things to brainwash people in that country. It's not working, Jack Dale. The brainwashing isn't working. So let's break this down. Simple question to Jack Deere. Why have you refused to have an investigation done into the assassination of a sitting minister when you were president of Guyana, Jack Deere? Why? Why? Members of the audience and those of you who are listening, we can assume why. We can assume why. And so what they did, they rounded up a few little boys, charged them with or charged them 18, 20 murders and all sorts of things, knowing very well that they knew who the real killers were. Don't tell me Jack Deere doesn't know who killed a sitting minister of his government. Don't tell me Jack Deere doesn't know. Don't tell me that Ronald Godraj didn't know. Don't tell me that the commissioner of police then didn't know. You can't tell me that Floyd McDonald, the acting commissioner of police, who got his U.S. visa revoked, his Canadian visa revoked, and so forth, for allegedly being involved in, you know what, death squads, killing of citizens of Guyana. So again, do not allow Jack Deere to pretend that he's an angel. He's not an angel. He's a devil. Now, Sash Saw's family, like all the other family members who are awaiting justice for their loved ones who were killed under questionable circumstances. And they deliberately did what they did. Ensure that the witnesses were removed off the scene, one way or the other, to stymie the process. You know, maybe one day I should write a nice book about these things. Do you guys remember this here? Ambassador Bullen. Ambassador Bullen, had it not been for Ambassador Bullen, then he is the ambassador, the U.S. ambassador that put the brakes on Roger Khan and his killing squad. That the PPP knew about and that they spoke about and called it the Phantom Squad. It was Luncheon who said, there's a cool Phantom Squad. And they knew what was happening. The commissioners of police knew what was happening. Senior members of the Guyana police force knew what was happening. And they pretended as though they were fighting crimes and they don't like criminals. Imagine someone like Sean Hines saying he doesn't like criminals. Imagine some notorious ones in the Guyana police force say they don't like criminals. Right? Imagine drug lords, drug dealers, Phantom Squad killers, some of the biggest criminals they have in Guyana saying that they don't like criminals. You notice? Okay, having said that now, according to report, and this was under Jack Deere's presidency, where Jack Deere was uncomfortable with the sitting U.S. ambassador to Guyana, Bullen. He was uncomfortable with Bullen, Ambassador Bullen. And for dismantling that network out in Guyana, the killing squad, Ambassador Bullen should be given credit for that. Had it not been for Ambassador Bullen, probably hundreds of other persons would have been slaughtered in Guyana. And so we've got to say thank you to Ambassador Bullen. But because Ambassador Bullen was on to the PPP regime, Ambassador Bullen was quite possibly on to Jack Deere and his criminal network. Guess what? Even the U.S. ambassador life was in danger. And it says here, Roger Khan threatened life of U.S. ambassador. Threatened the life of a U.S. ambassador when Jack Deere was the president of Guyana. All these things happened. All these things. And I can walk you through more and more and more. Take a look at this. This is according to Ambassador Bullen. Ambassador Bullen said the level of narco trafficking influence. I'll read that over, something a little bit like Irfan, and that's not nice. The level of narco trafficking influence on the political, judicial, and economic systems in Guyana creates ripe conditions for the emergence of a narco state. That was U.S. Ambassador to Guyana, Bullen, who said that in May 2024. That's according to the cable. Request and rationale for DEA, which is the Drug Enforcement Agency office in Guyana. He also cited government's indifferent attitude to the situation, a judgment that was later echoed by one of his successors. And his successor back then was John Jones, another African-American U.S. ambassador to Guyana, echoed the very sentiment. Drug trade, narco trafficking, influence, all these things happen under Jack Dale's presidency. I'm surprised the U.S. haven't nabbed him and put him behind bars like Noriega and so forth and so on. I'm just surprised. I didn't even realize that it's 13 minutes after 10 o'clock. Nobody told me anything. I'm looking at you guys in the letter columns now, the letter section. I noticed Ms. Booker say thanks to Winston Felix. Thanks to Bullen. They got the courage and the energy from Bullen to go after the Phantom Squad killers and their owners and their operators and their financiers and all these things and their political masters, the architect behind the Phantom Squad and killing squads and police killing squads and so forth in Guyana that wrecked that country. And so, from me, I can tell you guys this because I lived through that period. It was one of the most dangerous periods in that country. I am telling you guys, I can share personal experiences too. Being threatened and cornered by plainclothes police who placed guns to my head on numerous occasions. I've lived through that period. I know what it's like. I know what it was. And so I'm not talking with water in my mouth. There are many occasions they had to defend those who were defenseless. Those mothers who have lost their sons at the hands of bullets from notorious elements of the Guyana police force. It wasn't easy. Jack Dale was the intellectual, one of the intellectual authors, one of the political intellectual authors. He knew what happened. He knew. And I can put my head on the block that he knew something about Sash Saw's murder. I can put my head on the block. Now, I'm not saying that he did anything. I'm not. But I'm saying that I suspect that he knows something about that. Something about that. So what you're seeing now is plaything on social media compared to those murderous years on the ground in Guyana and standing up and confronting a dictator, a man who, in my opinion, has blood on his hands, Barra Jack Dale. This is what Ambassador Bullen said back in 2006. The big headline, this is not propaganda, Stabrook News, the big headline. You guys are seeing it for yourselves. U.S. Ambassador to Guyana Roland Bullen in 2006 considered the Guyana government so compromised by Roger Khan that he told Washington nothing would be done about him, and the envoy cited the drug lord and a former official of the government as being instrumental. All of these things are known to U.S. law enforcement agencies. All of these things and more were revealed in court documents. There were witnesses. Some witnesses were taken out of Guyana on the new identities right now in the United States of America to testify about the Phantom Squad, to testify about notorious elements in the Guyana police force and the government. And so don't, I repeat, do not allow Jagdeo to bluff you guys. And the sad thing is, guys, the sad thing for me is that those reporters sit at that press conference, if you want to call it a press conference, and say absolutely nothing to counter what Jagdeo says? Absolutely nothing? Don't they know about these things? Haven't they heard about these things?
Imagine 18 hours of blackout, and you're telling people progress. Cost of living gone up 100%, yet you give public servant less. Mr. President, listen to the people, search your soul and you will confess. I want you try surviving on the public base, then you're gonna know but stress. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup, look how evil set up.
All right, guys. Well, you know, that's definitely the cue that I've got to go. I'll be back on Monday, same place, same time, right here on 107.1 FM. Say bye-bye.
Bye.
Guys, I have lots to talk about. Lots and lots to talk about. Don't ever let Jagdeo bluff you guys at all. Love you all. So long. Say bye-bye. Well, guys, you notice my job. I got to go now. Have a great weekend. Wayne Caesar is going to be on tomorrow with Over to You. Wayne Caesar. Tune in at 7 o'clock. Bye-bye. Say bye-bye, Emma.
Bye.
Yeah, my name is Jacinty Caldata, Francis Vietnam, and since 1965 I become a voter, and I always place my ex next to the cop, and what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data.
Imagine 18 hours of blackout, and you're telling people progress. Cost of living gone up 100%, yet you give public servant less. Mr. President, listen to the people, search your soul and you will confess. I want you try surviving on the public base, then you're gonna know but stress. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup, look how evil set up. The people fed up. They don't drive no fear with the citizen. They may want the people speak out. Freedom of speech done gone inside the gutter. Knock off when you open your mouth. Discrimination in entertainment, and you're talking about one Guyana. When the Ministry of Culture keep the big shows, one set of girls and banner. Cause I don't